maritime sector. Join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on VOP TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector from aquaculture, maritime transportation, maritime labor regulation, oil and gas exploration, ferry and passenger insurance, marine pollution and prevention, port operations, and lots more. Maritime Frontiers, exploring Nigeria's blue economy. The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
Than in 2023 where we lost to Ivory Coast in the final. Of course, I remember that time, a video that Olaino, our right back, we don't want to see again when it was properly cooked by, now at Sunderland, Brighton Loanee Simon Adingra of Ivory Coast giving in the assist to Sebastian Haller and denied the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Yes, that's Afcon in 2023. But 2025, another opportunity. But still, the question is still lingering. When is Eric Chelle, the NFF this time, because I don't think it's all on Eric Chelle alone, when are they going to release the final squad? They are already squads by other teams, that are being dropped their final squad. Uganda has dropped theirs. Tanzania has dropped theirs. Our opponents, yes, in Group C at the Afcon, and we are still asking, when will the Super Eagles drop their squads? But then, a lot has happened in the weekend. A lot also happened yesterday. We'll be treating everything on your favorite show, Sports Republic. Yes, sir. You are welcome this beautiful Tuesday morning. And I'm your host, Afiz Ogubanjo. And you know how we do it. Yes, of course, for the next 15 minutes thereabouts, we'll be giving you the juiciest stories in the world of sports. Yes, right here on Voice of the People TV. And please do well to follow us on all our social media handles. Of course, on YouTube at Voice of the People TV. Yes, you can give us a like. You can also comment, and also you can subscribe to the channel, and so that you will miss any updates on this show, Sports Republic, and also on other shows on the platform. And we will be starting from the game that happened last night. Manchester United, of course, they are back to winning ways up against a certain Wolves side that everybody has been beaten in the Premier League. And yes, Manchester United secured a 4-1 win over Wolverhampton Wanderers, moving them to 6th in the Premier League table. And Bruno Fernandes, yes, the captain Bruno Fernandes, he led the charge with a double, including a penalty, while Brian Mbeumo and Mason Mount also scored for Manchester United. And Wolves continued with their 8th successive league defeats, leaving them bottom of the table with just 2 points. It's looking really big for Wolves at this point, because 2 points from about 16 or 15 games. That's really, really bad. And I remember Derby County, yes, right there. I remember Derby County in 2009, 2008 season. Derby County, they finished with 11 points, though they defeated Newcastle home and away, but they finished with just 11 points. And now, 15 or 16 games into the Premier League season, and Wolves, who did well under Vitor Pereira last season, he led them into this season. He was sacked, but right now they have a certain Rob Edwards, but they have just 2 points, and they haven't won a game even since Rob Edwards joined. This one right here, they had hope when they equalized up against Manchester United after Bruno Fernandes opened the scoring with that scrappy finish. But then Manchester United took control and defeated them 4-1. Ultimately, good performance from former Wolves player Matheus Cunha as well. He did really well against his former club. You can see Casemiro also on your screen, the likes of Nusair Mazraoui, Aiden Evan. Yes, they are all there congratulating Brian Mbeumo. And yes, the match was marked by protests from Wolves fans who boycotted the opening 15 minutes to demonstrate against the club's Chinese owners Fosun. And United's victory was their second in just 6 games, and they now sit just 1 point off the top 4. And Fernandez's performance was crucial as he now has 15 goal involvements in his last 14 Premier League games against teams in the relegation zone. And Wolves, on the other hand, are struggling, and their manager Rob Edwards acknowledged the fans' anger, and there was anger in the stadium, he said, and the lads are trying. The supporters are angry, and I get it, he said. And United's next game is up against Brighton in the FA Cup. We'll be discussing that very soon, while Wolves face Arsenal in their next Premier League match. And United's win was a welcome boost for manager Ruben Amorim, who has been under pressure in recent weeks, and that's the man on your screen right there. Very, very, how would I put it now? It's just, I don't want to call him delusional. It's just sticking to his principle, even though it is clearly not working. That's talking about Ruben Amorim. And I personally have been calling for him to be more pragmatic. I mean, there are times where the likes of Pep Guardiola, I remember in the 2022-2023 season or the 2021-22 season, where it started with that fancy football, the normal tiki-taka, it was getting the results 4-0, 5-0. Later in the season, it got so hard, it got so tough for him to even get 2 goals in a game, and it just changed his formation. It just kept players more at the back. 1 goal and it's okay. And that is how he won the Premier League on the final day after defeating Aston Villa by 3-2 with a comeback. So it's okay to stick by what you know, but then also try to be pragmatic. Just try to change things, and it might work. And I think that's what I want to say again for Ruben Amorim. Yes, they've gotten to this result over Wolverhampton Wanderers. I'm sure when I bring my guest in, I'm also going to ask him, is this just paper over cracks, or then is a sign of things to come for Manchester United? Because we know that they can win a game today. They are that inconsistent. They can win a game. They won at Selhurst Park and they went on to draw again. They also dropped points at Old Trafford up against Everton. So who knows? You don't even know if they are going to win their next game, but you don't know, because you don't know the Manchester United that will turn up. But this one right here is a welcome result for Manchester United and for the manager Ruben Amorim. And he also said if you compare last season and this season, we are creating so much more chances and scoring more goals, he said. And the Wolves, however, are in danger of setting unwanted Premier League records, including the lowest points tally in a single season. Yes, like I said, the record is still with Derby County with just 11 points. They finished with 11 points. They were beating Black and Blue. Everybody goes to Derby and gets a win. Home, away, neutral ground, put it anywhere, you will beat Derby County. And this one is happening also to Wolves. And Wolves, they're a traditional Premier League team. I mean, I remember when people used to call them Portugal 2, because they had a lot of Portuguese players. Ruben Neves was there. I mean, Nelson Semedo was there. The late Diogo Jota was also there. God rest his soul right there. And they were very, very good. They also had the likes of Raul Jimenez. Fantastic squad that time, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Always a thorn in the flesh of Manchester City. They had Mr. Baby Oil himself. That's talking about Adama Traore. Yes, he was there also with Wolverhampton Wanderers. And I mean, it's sad to see. They have a Nigerian striker, Tolu Arokodare, was greeted with much fanfare when he joined them, but it has not just been the same. Their striker last season, who got a lot of goals, Jürgen Strand-Larsen, he signed a new 4-year contract. I think he's going to be considering that one now, because this team looks closer to the championship than staying in the Premier League, staying alive in the Premier League. I just want to say, well, I want to wish them all the best, but their next game is up against the league leaders, Arsenal, in the Premier League. That's going to be much more tougher. At the Emirates Stadium, that is going to be very, very tough. And speaking of Arsenal, yes, they've known their opponents in the 3rd round of the Emirates FA Cup. Yes, Arsenal, they know that they will be facing Portsmouth, and the FA Cup 3rd round draw has shown up some exciting fixtures, with Manchester United hosting Brighton and Hove Albion, and Arsenal travelling to Portsmouth. And other notable matches include Tottenham Hotspur up against Aston Villa, Liverpool against Barnsley, and Chelsea up against Carlton Athletic. And yes, we have that right here on your screen. Portsmouth against Arsenal, Derby County against Leeds United, Swansea up against West Brom. Yes, Championship matchups, Premier League matchups. Bristol City up against Watford, and yes, we are seeing one right there. Newcastle up against Bournemouth at St James's Park. If I want to call that one, I think I'll just call it a straight win for Newcastle United. It's going to be tough, but then it's the beauty of the FA Cup. We might see, there will be shocks, obviously. There will be shocks in the FA Cup, but I'm seeing Newcastle defeat Bournemouth right there at St James's Park. And other fixtures, we are seeing Manchester United up against Brighton. Yes, we mentioned that at Old Trafford. They've already met this season, and it ended in a victory for Manchester United. It was a shocking result for many, but they defeated Brighton, and Hove Albion, Matheus Cunha getting his first Manchester United goal. Yes, Wolves, well, we'll be looking to bounce back. They'll be playing Shrewsbury Town, yes, right there at the Molineux. Doncaster Rovers up against Southampton. Tottenham against Aston Villa. Port Vale against Fleetwood Town. Preston North End up against Wigan Athletic. Ipswich up against Blackpool. Wrexham against Nottingham Forest. That's going to be interesting because Wrexham, they are doing very well for themselves in the Championship. Carlton against Chelsea. Another interesting fixture. Manchester United against Exeter. Manchester City up against Exeter City. I mean, you can already know where that one is going to go. West Ham up against QPR. Looks dicey because West Ham are also inconsistent in the Premier League. Sheffield Wednesday this time up against Brentford. Fulham against Middlesbrough. Going to be interesting because, trust me, Middlesbrough, they also have good players, the likes of Morgan Whittaker. He is there playing fantastic football for Middlesbrough. Fulham as well with a certain man, Harry Wilson. Yes, they have Alex Iwobi, but Harry Wilson, he doesn't score the normal goals. He scores worldies, and I'm sure he's going to be looking to do that again when they play Middlesbrough in the FA Cup third round. Everton against Sunderland. This one is going to be significant and interesting. Yes, there are two Premier League clubs, but it's like a derby. But this time, not the Merseyside derby, not the Sunderland and Newcastle. I'm trying to remember the name right now. They are derby. Sunderland and Newcastle, they have a derby, a big derby in England as well. But this time it is the Jordan Pickford derby because his current club, Everton, will be hosting his former club, Sunderland, and he loves Sunderland so much. I'm talking about Jordan Pickford, the England #1. Liverpool will be up against Barnsley. I'm sure no matter the form of Liverpool, I think they should pick this one at Anfield. Burnley up against Millwall as well. Going to be interesting. You really can't call where that's going to go. And Norwich City up against Walsall. Interesting fixtures in the FA Cup third round. I mean, who is going to dethrone Crystal Palace, or will they defend their title? And they'll be facing a tough challenge against non-league Macclesfield. That's talking about Crystal Palace, but of course, they should be able to do that. Yes, you can see that they were the champions of last season. Eberechi Eze lifting that title for them. Margay also there, but now Eberechi Eze is now playing at Arsenal, but Margay is still there with Crystal Palace. You can see Dean Henderson, the likes of Jefferson Lerma. I mean, John-Philippe Mateta. Most of the players that negotiated that FA Cup, they are still with Crystal Palace. And Oliver Glasner doing a wonderful job. They won the Community Shield as well up against Liverpool at the beginning of the season. Good one for Crystal Palace, but I'm sure a lot of people will be coming for that FA Cup title that they won last season. It's going to be interesting. And I also mentioned fixtures like Newcastle, Bournemouth, Everton, Sunderland, West Ham against QPR. Yes, and the ties are scheduled to take place on the weekend of January 10 to 11, yes, in 2026. And the FA Cup is one of England's most prestigious competitions with a rich history dating back to 1871. It is the oldest club tournament in world football. And this season's tournament promises to be an exciting one with several top teams facing tough challenges against lower league opposition. And trust me, there will be shocks. There will be big shocks. And yes, right here on VOP TV, we are all here for it. We are all here for the shocks. We are here for the drama. We are here for the goals, everything, so that we can give you to the delight of our viewers. And yes, sir, my guest is right here. Is with me in this, not with me in the studio, but of course he is with me as we discuss everything. Pelumi Adeosun, you are welcome to the show this morning. I discussed Manchester United and I also discussed the FA Cup. Do you see this as a way back for Ruben Amorim? I mean, they won 4-1 up against Wolves. You can say it's a Wolves side that everybody has been beating, but do you see this as a way back? Is Manchester United looking at the way up, or is it just a paper over cracks for GGMU right now? Pelumi, are you with me? Okay, I'm struggling to hear you, Pelumi. I'm struggling to hear you, Pelumi, but can you hear me now?
Is it better now? Can you hear me now?
All right, Pelumi. I'll still be looking to hear you clearly, but let's move on to the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Pelumi. Okay, Pelumi, can you hear me now? Can you give me your take on Manchester United?
Yeah.
All right.
I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me as well?
Yes, of course I can hear you. So, yes, I asked, tell me about Manchester United. Is it a way up for them, or is it just paper over cracks with that result against Wolves?
Yeah, well, maybe not. We'll find out in the coming weeks. Because Manchester United, just like you said, they are a team full of inconsistencies. Like you spoke about them beating Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park, something that they have not done in a long while. And then they surrendered that point again. They surrendered it in the hands of West Ham when they played out a 1-1 draw. And yesterday, honestly, was a great performance from United. I think they deserve to actually win that game. But then we should not also forget that it was against a very, very poor Wolverhampton Wanderers side. Wolves were terrible in that game. Yeah, they were very terrible in that game. They didn't even look like they were ready to play. The only positive from Wolves in that game was that they scored their very first goal, I think, since October. That's the only positive that they will be taken away.
Yes.
They haven't scored that game. Then other things from them were it was really an awful performance. So I don't think it is one thing that United should be celebrating as a victory just yet. They are now yet to lose in their last 3 games. But don't forget that before these last 3 games, they were also winless in the last 3. Then before the last 3 again, they also won 3 straight games. I think that is a very, very big time inconsistency from this starting Manchester United side. So you don't know this type of United side that will turn up. And I think the victory yesterday, they also owe it to the brilliance of Bruno Fernandes. I think it was very spectacular for United yesterday. He scored 2 goals.
Best player, obviously,
I think he made exactly, yes, he made an assist. No matter how terrible United always turn out to be, Bruno Fernandes still always stands out. Even in terms of the statistics, only Igor, Thiago, and Elinaran better his goal and assist contribution so far this season. Yeah. So it shows that Bruno is still ready to offer United a whole lot of things. But then to know if they're actually back, yes, it's a great result for them, and it has propelled them into 6th position now. The same number of points with Chelsea. But we should not forget that at a point in time, United were nearing 2nd position.
Yeah, of course. And then again, they were, but they dropped down again.
And then they dropped down again to around 9th or 12th. It's a lot more interesting talking about the Premier League table this season, because if you look at teams from around that 4th where Crystal Palace is, they have 26 points. If you look at it to 13th or even 14th where Brentford is, they have 19 points. That is just 7 points in between these teams. So it shows how the dynamics of the table can change in the English Premier League right about now. Then for Ruben Amorim, I think he should be more focused on their next 2 games now, which are going to be a big test for them. They will play Bournemouth at the Old Trafford, and we know they've not found it easy against Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth beat them home and away last season.
Last season, of course, they did.
So they've not found it. Yeah, they've not found it easy against Bournemouth. And after Bournemouth, they're going to be playing an informed Aston Villa team at the Villa Park.
That one. I think I know football is not played on paper, but even before they play that one, I think that one is going to come out with just one result, because the way Aston Villa are flying right now, I don't think they want to look at the way they played against the table toppers, and now they want to play against Manchester United. Who you don't know the kind of Manchester United that will turn up for fixtures like this. And I also want to ask, they are not playing Champions League football. They are out of the Carabao Cup, right? They are really not playing any European competition. Shouldn't they be doing better than where they are right now? Because it looks like nobody is talking about it. Or is it because people have just seen them that, hey, Manchester United that finished, was it 15th or 16th last season? We don't expect anything from them this season.
Yeah, honestly, they should be doing better. I completely agree with you. Playing once every week should actually afford them the time to rest and even to use all of their players. They cannot be going through the same thing that Arsenal and Chelsea are going through, rotating players week in, week out. Even Pep Guardiola tried it in the Champions League. He changed about 9 players, and we saw how that one went out against Bayer Leverkusen. So for United, they can afford to field the same 11 players week in, week out because they don't have luxury of games to play. It means that they should be doing better than they are doing right now. But unfortunately for United, they've still not been able to get the best out of some of their players. One of them is Matthias Cunha. Yes, he had an assist yesterday, but then I think that's good. That's like his first or second assist in Manchester United colours. He has scored one goal for this United squad since he joined them. It is not looking good. Brandon Mbeumo also scored yesterday, but before yesterday, he was in a drought of not scoring as well. Yes, Mason Mount also scored, but then these players are very, very inconsistent.
Exactly.
And that is the problem that I think Manchester United have got. Yeah, that's the problem that they have got right about now. They should be doing better than now. But then I think the team should be seeking stability at first. A team that finished 15th last season should not even be chasing any of the top 4 spots. And when we're speaking about the Villa game that they'll be playing the next week, they're going to be playing their game and without Brandon Mbeumo, Amad Diallo, and Mazraoui because they will be at the African Cup of Nations. Yeah, so I think it's going to be a tough time. Yes, it's definitely a tough time for Manchester United right there.
All right, then the FA Cup as well. Quickly, do you see Crystal Palace still holding on to their title, or do you think it's going to change hands this season?
Well, I think it is too soon to say. We're going to see some upsets, definitely. But then I think it is still too soon to say. It's just the first round of games. We don't know which team might be pulling the tricks that Crystal Palace actually did last time out. For some teams, they might be banking on this competition as a way for them to actually pick up a silverware. For some teams that know that the league might be out of their way. For Liverpool now, they might have ruled themselves out of winning the league. They might want to hold on to something, and its plus might want to hold on to something to probably keep his job. Even Enzo Maresca as well. They might want to be winning things like this. So I think it is too soon to say if Crystal Palace are still going to be picking up this particular one. It might go back to one of the big boys doing it once again. And then there's a certain Arsenal who wants to fight on all fronts as well. So I think you cannot rule out any team at this particular point in time.
Oh, all right. And so let's move on to the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I mean, we are still asking the question, when are we going to get our final squad? The Nigeria Super Eagles are getting ready for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco, and the head coach Eric Chelle is busy trimming his 54-man provisional squad to the final 28-man selection. I find that funny, busy trimming. When are you going to do that one? We need you to do it as quick as possible. We have just less than 12 days thereabout to the start of the Afcon, and the competition is fierce with experienced internationals, returning players, and debutants vying for a spot in the team. And some of the players likely to make the cut include the likes of Ola Aina, who despite being sidelined with the hamstring injury has been included in the professional squad, showcasing Chelsea's confidence in his recovery. Paul Onuachu, of course, and it has a name among all Nigerians right now. They want to see him there because he's doing well. Yes, this is the preliminary list, and this is what we still have up until now. Other teams have been dropping their squads: Tanzania, Gabon, Egypt, even Cameroon. These are teams that know what they want to do, and they want to, I would like to say, negotiate the Afcon really quickly. And of course, I was talking about Paul Onuachu. Yes, he's the Turkish Super League top scorer, and he's also a strong contender, offering a physical presence in attack and complementing Victor Osimhen's pace and mobility. And other potential squad members, Ebenezer Akinsomiru. Of course, I know a lot of Nigerians also want to see him. He's doing well with Pisa in the Serie A. Fisayo Dele Bashiru as well, who is also in the Serie A with Lazio. Nathan Tella, Ran Alebioshu of Blackburn, and Igor Ogbu are also in the mix, bringing versatility and defensive solidity to the team. And Pelumi, I want to ask you, what is going on with Eric Chelle, the NFF, and the Eagles final squad? You're seeing the 55-man list right now. Now 54, because William Chus-Ekong, he has retired from the national team. I don't even know why they put him in that in that list there, to be honest, because I think he announced that retirement even before this list came out. Maybe because it sounded like rumors at that time, but he eventually confirmed it. Now, I'm also hearing that a certain Tosin Adarabioyo is about to, switch his allegiance to Nigeria from England. Are you seeing Tosin going to the Afcon? Do you want to see Tosin go to the Afcon because of his performances at his club level with Chelsea? And who are the other players you think that will make this list, the final 28-man list, come, I don't know, whenever Chelle wants to release the list?
No. For me, I think Tosin is a no. Honestly, I don't think he's going to make the list.
He's a good defender on his day. On his day, but the question is, when is the day?
I'm not even saying. Yeah, exactly. I'm not even saying he's terrible. I'm not saying that. He's not the best of defenders actually. But then I don't think the guys that we've got right now are even any better than him. To be very honest, maybe a certain Calvin Bassey alone. I can't vouch for Semi Ajayi over Tosin Aderabioyo. I can't even say Chidozie Awaziem over Tosin. So I'm not saying it's completely. I think it is too soon. I don't see him making that Afcon list right about now. For me, I think it's done and dusted, honestly. I think Chelle knows the 28 players he wants to invite. The NFF also know it. I think they are just waiting for a bit of maybe confirmation on the availability of some players before they go on with that to publish that list.
Remember when we were in school that time and we are done with exams and are saying your papers are being passed on to the departmental heads, they want to check your final results before they now release it on maybe the school website or maybe on the notice board or whatever. Do you think that is what is going on with the NFF at this point? Because I don't know what is taking so long. Even the time they released the 55, yes, because Truth Ekong was there. When they released that 55-man list, it took a long time because they posted before on their page on X. They left blanks, saying that these are the positions, but they left it blank. It took a long time. Nigerians were already complaining. Then they dropped the 55-man list. It looked late at that point. Why are they still delaying now? Do you think they are passing it on to choose this one, don't choose this one? Do you think it's actually Eric Chelle that is doing it for himself? Or there are some people that, that they just want to see what he has and they will now, put their thoughts in before they now drop the final list?
Well, for me, I don't think it's Eric Chelle. I seriously do not. I don't want to believe it is Eric Chelle who is doing all of these things. But then we are quite familiar with the NFF. We know how they do their things, and we know this is their normal script. We should also forget that when they were supposed to release the list for the playoffs, right there, it took a long time. We were practically waiting and hoping that, I think it was a few days to come in when they eventually released that particular list. And for me, I will still keep on saying that this particular professional list was completely unnecessary.
Very unnecessary.
Totally unneeded at all. A whole lot of names there that that they are never ever going to make the final cut. So what is the essence? Even the NPL players that you picked, no single NPL player is going to make that final 38. I'm very sure of that. So what are you trying to say? Are you trying to say, okay, we are giving you this recognition, we see you and all of that in less than 2 weeks? Well, I think they will submit the list to be eventually out before Thursday. Latest on Thursday, if they don't want to risk paying the fine of $10,000 to CAF. Yes. So they need to release that list on Thursday. For me, I'm not expecting any surprises, honestly. I think it's going to be the regular guys that we know, that we have seen.
But Palumi, who is going to replace the former skipper that's talking about Truth Ekong? Because, it's going to leave a space short at the back. Who do you think is going to replace him?
Yeah, exactly. Well, for me, I think Igor Ogbu, there's a big chance that Igor Ogbu makes that final cut, honestly. Yeah, because of Truth Ekong not being able to be. Absolutely, I think so. I think it does. Because of Tosin not making that list, I think that and Truth Ekong not making rather, I think Igor Ogbu would definitely come in. We need a center back, so I think Igor Ogbu should actually come into play. Chidozie Awaziem would also definitely make it, and I think Ran Alebiosu. There's a big possibility of Ran Alebiosu. He's one of the new faces. I think we're going to see about 3 or 4 new faces in that team. Maybe Ran Alebiosu, maybe Ebenezer Akisomiro, maybe Rafiu Durosimi. Maybe Rafiu Durosimi playing in Czech Republic.
I've been calling for him a long time because when I see the names that were coming up in that attacking role, Olakunle Olusegun, I was even expecting likes of Yera So. There are players that are performing well. Is it the scouting of the Super Eagles that is so bad, or there are some people that have said, look, they've lobbied with these players, okay, fine, they've assured them of a place? Because if you are really doing the scouting, I think there are better players that should be representing the Super Eagles at Afcon.
Yeah, certainly, I agree with you. There should be better players. There are Nigerian players scattered everywhere, but then because some of these guys don't know one person that knows one person, so they tend to get omitted from that list eventually. And I can't really fault Nigerians if we keep like Chelle or the NFF if they keep inviting new players in that attacking position because aside Victor Osimhen, we cannot even say that there is this other attacker that we can bank on. We've tried a whole lot. I can list about 10 players that have played and that are still playing in that attacking position, and none of them have even been able to give us something close to what Victor Osimhen can actually offer. So if Rafiu Osimhen is coming in, I think it's a welcome development. Honestly,
Absolutely.
we need something different. We saw how the team just capitulated without Victor Osimhen in that team. So something definitely needs to happen in that attacking unit for the Super Eagles of Nigeria once again. So like I said, I think the coach already knows the players. I think it's just holding on probably to ascertain the it's trying to get the certainty of the availability of some of these players because of injuries. For Olaino, for example, I think they are still sweating over his fitness right there. Felix Agua as well. They don't know if he's going to make it or not. And then we got the news yesterday that Stanley Nwabali is also a major doubt for the Afcon. So I think these are part of the reasons why
that one. I know that maybe for me, maybe I'm not the biggest fan of Stanley Nwabali. Maybe I'm making calls that Maduka should be starting between the sticks, but we still need him no matter what. It's going to be a big miss.
Definitely.
Should he miss the Afcon? He is.
Definitely, we need him. We need him. I agree with you. Even if he's not going to start, we need someone on the bench who is going to keep the starting goalkeeper on his toes.
On his toes, yes.
We need someone in there. Because if Stanley Nwabali does not go, it means you are left with maybe Yamaso Basoge, Adebayo, Adeleye, and all of that. Except you are going to go with Francis Uzo, which is not advisable as well. So I think
not at all.
Yeah, at this particular point in time. So I think that is just the way it is right now.
Yes, there are other squads that have released their list. The Ugandans, I mentioned the Ugandans, they've released their squad as well. We've also seen the likes of Gabon. Yes, that team that the Super Eagles of Nigeria defeated, to move on. Yes, that's the Cranes, of course, the Cranes of Uganda. They are in the Group C with the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and they have dropped their final list. The players already know that, okay, I'm going to be selected. Okay, I will not be selected. I'll focus on my club. And these are the players that will be representing Uganda at the Afcon. Super Eagles of Nigeria, we are still waiting. The Gabonese have also dropped theirs. Of course, you know the names. The likes of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, the likes of Mario Lemina, the likes of Malik Evuna, Denny Bouanga, also there. Biogo Poko, also Andre, will also be representing the Gabonese. And well, we are still waiting. Just like Pelumi said, maybe Thursday, because you don't want to risk that $10,000 fine that will be imposed on you should you drop your list so late. Yes, the Gabonese, you can see that also on your screen. Anthony Oyono also there. Jeremy Oyono, Joan Obiang also there. I mentioned Andre Biogo Poko. Guelo Kanga is there with them. Samake Onze is there. Mario Lemina, that midfielder playing with Victor Osimhen at Galatasaray, also there. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang should captain the side. And Jim Alevina is there, Royce Openda as well, and Denny Bouanga, that man from the MLS, also there. But let me mention the NPFL players that should be representing, the Super Eagles. But it's not looking likely that any of the NPFL players will be called up. But still sticking with the NPFL, they play for their clubs, even if they can't play for Super Eagles. They play for their clubs. March week 16, yes, we saw results, of course, in the NPFL. These are the players that were called up, yes, at the preliminary list. But then, looking at their clubs, we saw games that went down. Shooting Stars, Remo Stars are picking up points against Eyimba. 2-1 it was for Remo Stars up against Eyimba. Then looking at the table right now, Nasarawa United, they are still leading. The Oga Boys, Ikorodu City are second. Yes, right now after match week 16. Of course, that's talking about the NPFL. Yes, but then we are still looking to how it is going to pan out. Nasarawa United, well, I don't want to say they are looking like the team to beat, but of course, Nasarawa United, they will be there and they are going to fight it to the very end. Eyimba, a very, very, very unfamiliar position Eyimba are. And yes, the producers, I'm sure they are going to give us a table to see how match week 16 looks like right there in the NPFL, and also the results that went down. Rivers United, they've only played 14 games. They still have 2 games in hand, and I'm sure should they win those 2 games, they will be heading to the top of the table. That's talking about Rivers United. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting in the NPFL. But let's move on quickly to the 2026 FIFA World Cup draws. That one right there is going to be very, very interesting, of course, and we are going to discuss the full group stage draws and also the talking points from the draws as well. But let's take a quick short break. When we come back, we are going to touch on that and also on more other stories. It's still Sports Republic. Stay with us.
Hey guys, what's up? How you all doing? They call me Novisha Nelson One, your number 1 celebrity host, and you are watching Voice of the People Television, VOP. Stay tuned.
Uyo Sarati is my name. I am a friend of the microphone, Voice of the People TV. That name is unique, and the brand is very sweet. I like the packaging, picture qualities, camera qualities, and then of course, the quality of human beings that I see sometimes on your channel. I talk and get paid, and I look forward to being in your studios.
Oh yes, you are on to Voice of the People TV, live here in Benin City, the cradle of black civilization. What are you waiting for? Tune in, bro.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
Of course, this is still Sports Republic, and I am Afiz Ogubanjo, and I'm still with my guest, Akpelumi Adeosun. And yes, we are talking about the 2026 FIFA World Cup, of course, and the group stage, is out. We saw the draws, and in Group A, we have Mexico, with South Africa, Korea Republic, and yes, a World Cup playoffs. Yes, a winner from the World Cup playoffs will be joining right there. In Group B, we have the likes of Canada. Of course, also another playoff winner. Italy is there. Northern Ireland is also there, and Qatar. Then Switzerland, confirmed place. Group C has a full group already: Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, and Scotland. And they also have in Group D the USA, of course, Paraguay, Australia, and also a winner from the playoffs. And in Group E, we have Germany, Curacao, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ecuador. Curacao are in Group E of the World Cup, and the Super Eagles are not. Group F, Also in Netherlands, Japan, a winner from the playoffs with the likes of Poland, Sweden, Ukraine as well, and Albania. Any winner from the playoff there will be joining Netherlands, Japan, and Tunisia. Also in Group G, we have Belgium, Egypt, yes, the People's Republic of Iran, and New Zealand. Group H has Spain, Cabo Verde, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay. And in Group I, this one has been labeled as by people as the group of death, with France, Senegal, winner from another playoff with Bolivia and also Suriname, and also we're playing against Norway. Kylian Mbappe up against Erling Haaland is going to be interesting in Group I. And don't push out Senegal, the likes of Iliman Ndiaye, Nicolas Jackson, Boulaye Dia, of course, Idrissa Gueye will also be there with Sadio Mane. Of course, I'll be going back to Group A again to pick out main players from each team. But let me quickly read out the groups. In Group J, defending champions Argentina will be trying to negotiate Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. Jordan with Musa El Tamari, they will be playing at the World Cup. Super Eagles are not. In Group K, we have Portugal, winner of the playoffs, again with Congo DR, the team that knocked out Super Eagles of Nigeria, Jamaica, and also New Caledonia. Just imagine New Caledonia. Much respect to New Caledonia, but should they make the World Cup eventually, Super Eagles will not make it. Uzbekistan and also Colombia. And in Group L, England, Croatia, Ghana, and Panama. Let's look at Group A. I mean, Mexico against South Africa. I'm sure it's going to take you back 15 years. Remember in 2010 when South Africa hosted the World Cup, and that goal, the first goal scored by Sifiwe Shabalala, that makes him an all-time international hero. Yes, you can see that shot from Sifiwe Shabalala, and that's goated celebration. They will be opening the World Cup, of course, at the Azteca Stadium. And trust me, that Azteca Stadium will be the first stadium to host 3 World Cups. It's going to be very, very interesting. Mexico against South Africa. Are you seeing shades of that 1-1 again, or is it going to change hands this time? And what do you think about the full group stage draws, in general?
I don't know if this would shock you or would surprise you, but then the opening game between Mexico and South Africa will be played on June the 11th, the same day where the game between South Africa and Mexico was played 15 years ago.
2010.
It was
Wow.
June 11th, 2010. So
God
it's
has
going to
called
be
it,
June 11th, 2026. In fact. So I think it's way of history trying to repeat itself again.
Yeah.
But then I think, and that would go down as one of the most interesting FIFA World Cups, honestly.
Yeah, of course. 2010 has a place. Africa hosting the Vuvuzela, the Jabulani, remember, the nightmare of all goalkeepers, and the joy of a footballer.
Exactly.
Diego Forlan fell in love with that soccer ball, and of course, anywhere Diego Forlan sends the ball, it goes.
Yeah, certainly. So I really hope that we witness that sort of joy, that sort of enthusiasm, excitement once again in the 2026 World Cup. I think it's an interesting one in those draws. But then I think it would have been a lot more interesting and intriguing to talk about if all of the playoff spots have been completed. But now we don't know which teams would be filling some of these spots right now. But then I think some teams are going to have an easy ride, certainly. For example, really? I think Portugal. Yeah, for me, I think Portugal are going to have an easy ride. They're going to be playing Colombia, Uzbekistan, then maybe DR Congo, New Caledonia, or Jamaica, for crying out loud. Portugal are going to blow out all of these teams. Argentina as well. They have Jordan, Austria, Algeria. I think some of these teams have very, very easy teams. It's easy teams to navigate.
Of course.
And then for Spain too, Saudi Arabia, I really feel for Cape Verde. In fact, they are first World Cup ever, and they are put in this type of position.
No, but Saudi Arabia and Uruguay, I mean, with the way Cabo Verde play their football, I think Saudi Arabia and Uruguay, I think they are beatable.
Saudi Arabia maybe, but then Uruguay, I still don't think they can. Uruguay has been attending almost every World Cup, and they definitely have the experience.
But it's not about attendance, right? It's about what you do when you attend.
Definitely.
And they don't have those golden players anymore. I mean, remember the likes of Arevalo, Luis Suarez, of course. I'm sure he's not going to be playing. Maybe Edinson Cavani, but this time they will be going with the likes of Skytar, Darwin Nunez. I think they are beatable, don't you think?
Yeah, of course. The World Cup, there's no World Cup without an upset. Even at the last World Cup, we saw Saudi Arabia beat Argentina in the
Argentina,
first
yeah.
game. Yeah, so I think any upset can actually happen. I don't just think that Cape Verde can fancy their chances in this type of a group. But then, just like you said, looking at the group, I France, Senegal,
That
Norway,
one.
and then that FIFA playoff two sports. I think it's also a very, very interesting thing to group to watch out for. More
Yeah,
importantly, the France Norway game.
of course.
Norway have shown that there are no pushovers. Honestly,
I
there are no
mean,
pushovers
one man
at all
stands
because
out when you
of
talk
the way
about
they
Norway.
qualified. Yeah, because of the way they also qualified and the quality of players that they've got.
Yeah.
I think they can give the French a run for their money. Another interesting group is Group F. Netherlands, Japan, and Tunisia. Tunisia are also a very decent team. Look at the way they also qualified.
Yeah.
They qualified without even
Without conceding a goal.
So I think they're also going to be. Yeah, so they're also going to put up a good fight in that particular group. But then look at the United States group, Australia, Paraguay. That's like an easy group for crying out loud for some of these teams. So any serious team from this group should actually be making it out. I think so.
Let's go through the groups again, and maybe we should just mention about like maybe a player or two players that we'll be watching out for. I mean, without any injuries, that we know that they should be going to the World Cup. In Group A, I mean, Mexico, of course, it should be Raul Jimenez as well for Mexico. South Africa, maybe the likes of I don't know what to call from South African team, but maybe Kota. Korea, of course, they have Heung-min Son, right? And maybe we'll be looking out from the team from the playoff. Canada, of course, Jonathan David should be the main man right there, or Alphonso Davies as well. Qatar, maybe a certain Almoez Ali, or they have good players, maybe Qatar as well. We still don't know the team that will be joining them, from the playoff. And Switzerland should be Granit Xhaka. I mean, his form with Sunderland this season has been fantastic. In Group C, Brazil. Who do you think is the biggest name in Brazil, Pelumi? Okay, Pelumi still with me. Maybe Brazil, maybe Vinicius Junior, of course. Morocco.
I hope you would permit me to say Esteval.
Esteval, of course. Esteval.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Esteval is fantastic. Esteval, of course. Esteval is there. Morocco should be Ashraf Hakimi. 80. We will be seeing the players when the World Cup starts. Maybe Bellegarde, of course. Yes, they have Bellegarde. Bellegarde, who plays for Wolves, is actually playing for 80. So maybe Bellegarde, of course. Yes, maybe Bellegarde. And we'll be doing this, of course, as the World Cup draws closer. We'll be seeing the list. We'll be seeing the players when the coaches drop their team list. Super Eagles of Nigeria. Where do you think they are in Group what? We don't know yet, but maybe 2030, of course, they should be in Group A, because we don't want to hear anything short of that at this point in time. And we hope by that time, everything that we've been complaining about, long time ago and even now, will be fixed. And yes, we are running out of time on the show, but let's talk about the Champions League. Of course, the UEFA Champions League match week 6 fixture. We spoke about France and Norway, meeting in Group I, of the World Cup. Kylian Mbappe up against Erling Haaland. Maybe they can settle the scores, earlier, because Real Madrid and Manchester City will be facing in the Champions League, and these are the fixtures. Of course, let me quickly take you through that. Kairat Almaty will be up against Olympiacos today. Bayern Munchen will up against Sporting CP. That will be very, very interesting, but Bayern should take that one. Atalanta up against Chelsea. Ademola Lookman is kind of on a resurgent form right there, and they will be playing Chelsea. Barcelona up against the Eintracht Frankfurt. You remember that team that knocked out Barcelona in the Europa League? Yes, right there. Inter up against Liverpool. Europa League. Yes, Eintracht Frankfurt up against Barcelona. Inter against Liverpool. Mo Salah, it has been confirmed, will not be traveling. Monaco up against Galatasaray. That will be interesting as well. For Langi Balogun, Paul Pogba up against Victor Osimhen and his boys. And PSV will be up against Atletico Madrid. Tottenham Hotspur against Slavia Prague. Union Saint-Gilloise up against Marseille. And then tomorrow, Qarabag will be up against Ajax Amsterdam, who finally got a win. Villarreal up against Copenhagen. No, Ajax have not won. Sorry about that. They lost to Benfica. And Villarreal up against Copenhagen. Athletic Club against Paris Saint-Germain will be interesting as well. Borussia Dortmund against Bodo Glimt. Benfica against Napoli. Club Brugge against Arsenal. Juventus up against Pafos. David Luiz and Pafos will be going to the old lady. And Leverkusen up against Newcastle. That one should be very interesting. And Real Madrid, yes, that fixture up against Manchester City. That should be the biggest game right now, Pelumi, right?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, it's the biggest game this weekend, and because of talks surrounding the future of Xabi Alonso as well. So I think a lot of eyes will definitely be on that Manchester City and of course Real Madrid game tomorrow. But then today we've got Inter Milan and Liverpool. I think it's another game to also look forward to.
Of course, well, Mo Salah, he's been thrown under the bus. Pelumi, thank you so much for joining on the show today. But this is where, we'll be saying our buys on the show. And the Champions League promises to, give us interesting results, goals, drama. You know how it is in the UEFA Champions League. And yes, KZK tomorrow will be giving you the breakdown from the games of today and also other happenings in the world of sports. It's been a fantastic ride on the show. The midday news comes up next right here on the Voice of the People TV. And yes, it's been Sports Republic, and I am Afiz Ogubanjo, and I want to say, do have a wonderful day. Bye for now.
Extraordinary. Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We bring in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check, only on Voice of the People Television, where your health has a voice.
The 2564 Atlantic Tower.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
My name is Tao Familoni, and here's to VOP TV. Keep watching, stay tuned, do not touch that dial.
My name is Made Kuti, and you're watching VOP TV. Keep watching.
Welcome, my name is Zika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is VOP TV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
My name is